Well, it's an area of Syria largely unreported, and I asked Jوناثان Roغman by satellite phone earlier how Turkey, Syria's northern neighbour, is responding to the crisis unfolding on its doorstep.
They are deeply concerned that there may be another refugee crisis. There was a small movement of refugees, if you may remember, from Syria to Turkey last summer. That hasn't been repeated. And the reason I think it hasn't been repeated has been the evolution of this so-called Free Syrian Army, which is essentially a ragtag militia, as far as I can see, of disconnected groups who have taken control of villages and indeed towns and are, if not holding them, then certainly patrolling them and trying to protect them from government forces who are on the outside. So people who live in these villages and these towns are staying put, hoping that the Free Syrian Army, as it calls itself, will keep them safe. But that's a very big if.
Obviously, if the organised Syrian army moved against them, they wouldn't have much of a chance.
I don't think they would have much of a chance, no. What's interesting about the militiamen that one meets is that they are protecting their local areas. They are not, as far as I can see, joining up and forming a united insurgency planning to attack the commercial capital, Aleppo, or the actual capital, Damascus. Really what we're seeing are small pockets of resistance patrolling villages and towns, especially at night, when the government can't really venture out into the countryside. But a united opposition, it certainly isn't.
What about supplies for ordinary people, and what are conditions like?
I think people are very anxious that they may run out of food if the tanks surrounding the towns and villages decide to form a proper cordon in which nothing gets in and out. At the moment, traffic comes in and out, and the tanks sit there, and occasionally they shell buildings, and occasionally the militiamen fire back. So life is being lived as much as normal as possible, and one just doesn't know whether what happened in Homs last week will be what happens in northern Syria next.
And do the people amongst whom you're moving have any sense of the complete chaos in the international community in terms of doing anything about it?
Yes, they do have a sense of not being helped. I met a man yesterday who had been shot. He was a militiaman who had been fighting his former colleagues in the Syrian army, and he was being hidden in a safe house because he couldn't be taken to hospital in case he was shot by the government forces when he got there. And what he said to me with absolutely no prompting is that Russia's veto at the UN Security Council has given President Bashar al-Assad the green light to carry on killing his own people. People are extremely aware of that Russian veto. They talk disparagingly about Russians all the time. And they are aware that other countries have at least voiced support for them, if not come to their actual aid.
Jوناثان Roغman, who's been inside the town of Saraqib in northern Syria. Kathy.